We found depression is caused by three things: harsh, hurtful, critical words that you say to yourself on a regular basis. I'm an idiot, I'm a loser. I knew that wouldn't work out.
Yeah.
I knew I wouldn't get that. Disconnection, which is massive. We're tribal people, so being disconnected, and we had a whole generation of people who work from home on a screen and not following your heart's desire. Yeah. Those three things cause it far more than the chemical imbalance in your brain, which, by the way, nobody can even find that.
And
so we tried to kind of
all these tests.
I retired, and obviously, but thankfully,
looking back at school, when I was in school years ago, a lot of the way I viewed myself was the way other people viewed me. And had I known that at the time, it still would have been difficult. Let's be fair, bullying and, kids labeling other kids. And I think that would be my next question. How do you deal with that then?
One of the things we do is, we work with the bullied children and the bullies, because no one wakes up and goes, hey, my life is so great. Who can I diminish today? I think I'll go to school and be one of those mean kids.
Yeah.
Mean kids, hurt people, damage people. So although we work a lot with children who are bullied and give them resources and tools to fight back, not in a fight but in a way that makes them strong, we do a lot of work with the children who are the bullies, because bullies are very unhappy. And an adult, no one wakes up and says, I think I'll go and troll someone now.
Yeah.
It's a feeling of inadequacy. So when you feel inadequate, you want someone else to feel inadequate, and then you feel a bit better. Misery likes company. So if you feel inadequate, you don't want to be around someone who isn't inadequate. You want someone to be even more inadequate than you, and then you'll feel not just equal, you'll feel slightly superior.
Right.
So we're always taking it right back to what happens in a child's world, that they become a bully. And they become an adult bully, and many people don't even realize the impact bullying has on children. So we have a bullying program we put into schools, but it works a lot with the children who are bullies or are going to become bullies.
Right.
Because bullies just feel so bad about themselves. Critical people always have the most criticism reserved for themselves, and they express out to you their own dissatisfaction. When you can go, oh, you don't like yourself, you're an unhappy person, you're showing me how unhappy you are, they don't like that. They will move on very quickly, but we don't want them to do it to anyone. So a lot of our work is working with people who are bullies and finding out why.
Amazing. I like that you mentioned adults, because it's a good transition into what comes next. Yeah. So how do you deal with it, as an adult in the workplace? If you are working in a toxic environment, or if you have to deal with bullies at work. I'm also going to call them bullies, because adults can be bullies, as you mentioned.
Certainly, and they are in the workplace. We know that.
Absolutely.
And the worst thing is if it's your boss. If it's your colleague, you can go to HR.
Exactly.
But when it's your boss, that can be but you can learn techniques. So there's a couple of things you can do with bullies. So when someone is being really rude to you and you go, oh, thank you for sharing that, they sort of understand that you're not letting it in, because the big thing is do not let it in. Let in constructive criticism, but do not let in destructive criticism. So if someone says mean things, you can go, oh, thank you for sharing that, or you must be having a really bad day today. Or you can say, oh, are you trying to hurt my feelings? I usually go, no, I'm just pointing out that you're terrible at your job. And you go, well, that's not going to work, because I'm not going to let that in. So we have a whole program. But if you were being bullied, someone who was bullying you, I'd suggest the first thing you would say if someone said something like, you look awful today. Thank you for sharing that. Are you trying to hurt my feelings? They go, no, I just wanted to tell you you're awful. Go, well, I'm not going to let that in. And by the way, I don't dress for you. And then you could say, but by the way, while we're sharing today, did you know that people who are critical have the most criticism reserved for themselves? You must be a very unhappy person. That will always stop them.
Right.
Because they know you've got them. They know that you understand. I was teaching my daughter this, who was being bullied at school. And she and the bully to this day have become best friends, because the bully thought, oh my God, this girl gets me. And poor kid had some challenges. And now she's an amazing grown-up woman. But the thing with a bully is, they're trying to make you feel bad. And you have to stand your ground and go, you're an unhappy person. I feel so sorry for you. Or did you know the whole office is realizing how inadequate you feel by this behavior. Of course, you can't say that to a boss, but you can still say even to a boss, are you okay? You seem to be very, very critical. Is there anything I could help you with here? You always want to give it back in the nicest way that you can.
Right.
You always want to hand it back. Here's an inadequate person. And it works almost all the time. There'll always be someone it doesn't work for. Go, yeah, I love hurting your feelings. You go, well, I'm not going to let that in. What a shame that that's how you get your energy, from trying to make someone else feel bad.
Absolutely. I love that you mentioned that, because my father used to tell me that as a child. I got bullied as well for 2 years. And it was just this constant, bothering and this constant burden because I was the new kid in the school.
Of course, yeah.
And I was different, and I looked different, and I spoke differently, and I was raised differently. And my father told me the same exact thing. He's like, don't let it in. Don't give them the satisfaction that their opinion matters. It was very tough. I was a child.
Sure, it's very tough as a child, because, of course, children are born with two drivers. Find connection, avoid rejection, because even a baby understands, if I find connection, I'll survive.
Yes.
If I'm rejected, I won't. And this is why babies smile at you and engage at you and gurgle. And when you give them your little finger, they grip it really tight, because they know, I'm going to find connection and avoid rejection. But when you're bullied, you're finding rejection. You're getting rejected, especially if you're bullied by a group, which is a terrible thing.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think, the world has to, because there's no bullying in this school. I'm like, well, there probably is.
Yeah.
But people are like, oh, no, this school doesn't have any bullying. And that probably isn't true. I remember someone saying that to me quite recently, there's no bullying in this school. I think they couldn't see an example of bullying. And what's so awful is, when I was a kid, if you got bullied at school from 9 to 3:30, it was awful. But then you could go home and you were free. And now with social media, it's in your bedroom, it's on your screen, it's on your computer. So kids who get bullied now, it's from the minute they wake up to the minute they close their eyes. So
absolutely.
It's a million times worse. And just because the school can't see it,
yeah.
We need all these social media sites to be really much more aware, and they should all have anti-bullying programs that they're giving out to every child. It should be their duty to help children learn how to realize this is not about you. The bully is an unhappy, dissatisfied person. It's nothing to do with you. They're jealous of you. There's something about you that makes them feel inadequate, but it's not about you. Even just knowing that makes kids feel a bit better. Oh, it's not about me. These people are bullying me. But it is hard that it's everywhere.
Absolutely. Cyberbullying, I think, is one of the main causes of depression amongst teens, and,
and when it's anonymous, too, and you don't even know who's doing it,
absolutely.
That can be very hard, too.
Exactly, because a stranger sees it. Then everyone sees it.
Of course.
And you start to believe that, you are that label that they gave you.
Yeah.
But then with cyberbullying, do you think that it's a parent's duty to limit their kids' exposure to social media or to screens?
Yeah, I think so. I think with young children, you shouldn't even have screens in the bedroom. It should be okay. We have the screen around the kitchen table, and it shouldn't be you're up in your room at 9 o'clock at night being bullied on the screen, because small kids shouldn't have screens in their rooms.
Absolutely. It affects everything. It affects their sleep. It affects their self-esteem. It affects everything.
Yeah.
So makes sense. All right. So we're going to go on a happier note. Tell us a bit more about your book.
My new book.
Yes.
My new book, Rules of the Mind. I created 23 different rules of the mind to help. I've trained 19,000 therapists and coaches, and they'll say, wow, when I take my client through rules of the mind, it's like such a mic drop moment for them. It's so illuminating. They go, oh, wow, I didn't understand that. And so most of my therapists tell me the rules of the mind are amazing. So I put them in a book form so that everyone can go, wow, there are these rules. For instance, here's a very simple rule. Every thought you think is a blueprint that your mind and body work. If you think a sad thought, your eyes fill up with tears. If you think an embarrassing thought, don't you go bright red? Think a sexual thought, you become aroused, even if you're on your own. And if you think of food, your stomach will rumble. And here's the big thing, what we think of a drug, our body makes real. So if you think you're taking a sleeping pill and you're not, you'll still sleep because your mind works to make your thoughts
The
real.
placebo effect,
Yeah.
kind of, yeah.
So now you think, oh, wow, that's all. My mind is making my thoughts real. That's its job. So what's my job? Your job is to think better thoughts all the time. So once you have these very simple rules, and they're very simple, you can learn to put them into practice. Here's one of my favorites. The mind cannot hold conflicting beliefs. If you think, I want love, I couldn't stand to be dumped. I want to be successful. What if I was a terrible parent? Now your mind is going in 2 lanes simultaneously, which you can't do. So you've got to think, okay, let me keep my mind on the thought I want and off the thought. If you think, I love cake, but it makes me fat. Now, every time you have cake, you feel bad. You believe it's going to make you fat. And the stress of that will create cortisol, which actually makes you gain weight. So it's true that you can think food makes you fat and gain weight just by a thought. But we can also flip that thought and go, I could eat cake, I've got a fantastic metabolism, just burn it all off. So it's training you really how to be the CEO of your mind, how to make your mind work for you rather than you working for it, which is how it should be.
I love that. Be the CEO of your mind.
Of yourself. It's easy.
And it sounds so simple, but I don't think, and that's what I love about the book, is that these rules are connecting the dots.
Yeah,
that
connecting
we,
the dots, exactly.
We just didn't know how to connect, basically.
Yeah. I mean, that rule, the way you feel about everything comes down to the thoughts you think. And the words is, if you go, I'm terrified of flying, that plane's a flying coffin, of course you're going to be terrified because you're filling up your mind with the wrong word and the wrong, if you say, I love flying, when else do I get to sit in a chair, watch a movie, have food served and do nothing and have a complete rest, maybe even go to sleep? So it's our job to fill our mind up with better thoughts and better words so that we can have a better life.
Love it. Love it. You mentioned flying quite a few times. Did you actually help people get over phobias?
So many. I've got so many kinds with fear of flying, fear of elevators. And of course, flying isn't a logical fear, apart from the fact you can't get off the plane, because the most dangerous part of flying is the car ride to the airport. So that's much more dangerous, but we can stop a car and get out, so we think. Because all fears are illogical. You know, I was in New York last week, and I was on the place called The Edge in Hudson's Yard, and you go right up to the top and you stand on the edge.
Right.
And I was very happy, but my legs had a totally different idea. Every time I looked up, my legs would do this really weird thing. I was saying, this is so odd, because I know I'm safe. It's the second time I've been to the ledge. You can't fall off. I mean, it's got perspex all around it.
Right.
But you're so high, and it wasn't looking down, it was looking up. When I looked up even higher, my legs were going, get out of here, you idiot.
No way.
Because that, you see, we think we're so smart and logical, but emotion defeats, that's another rule of the mind, emotion defeats logic. The emotion that I could fall, and I was so hurt, was defeating the logic that I'm completely safe, I've been here before. But we're primitive. We have primitive brains that want to protect us. So looking down, you know, anyone will go, if you stood on a little stool and looked down, you'd be fine. But if you go up really high and look down, your stomach says, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Because the emotion that we may fall will defeat the logic that says I'm completely safe. So emotion will defeat logic. That's why logical therapy doesn't work. So if your fear is I'm not good enough, you want a better emotion, I'm smart, I'm capable, I'm competent, I've got this, the brain will pick that up because it likes words that make pictures. They're in the present tense. You know, we have no idea about our brains. For instance, the brain doesn't work in the future. Saying to a kid who's bullied, next year going to a new school. Saying to someone who's depressed, you know, you will get over this. The brain only works in now. So when you want to be the CEO of yourself, you have to understand the mind. It only works in the present tense. It only responds to words that make a picture. The bigger and better the picture. It likes to be really excited and turned on with vivid words, and words in front of the words too. So you can say I'm always amazing or outstandingly confident or incredibly talented. But you really want to excite your imagination. And so there's this saying, every day, in every I'm getting better and better. At what? Having headaches so you don't have to go to work? Failing, it's such a silly abstract because it doesn't make a picture.
Right.
So whatever you're telling your mind, make sure, is there a fantastic picture? Saying to a kid, you are the fastest runner, you've got your legs run so fast, your lungs are so strong, and you always get the ball and you're really good at scoring goals. And saying every day and every day you're getting better and better. Saying to someone with a fear of speaking, you know, when you speak, you're so calm. You pronounce every word correct. The audience love you. Look at them smiling, clapping. They love you. You love them. And going on stage is exciting. And you have a brilliant memory. You've got amazing powers of concentration, focus. You remember everything. That excites the imagination. But saying, you're quite good, you're all right, you're not bad, there's no picture. So very simple thing, hey, I need to make a picture. I'm going into a meeting. I could say, wow, I'm going to ace this. I know exactly. My boss loves me. He's thrilled with my ideas. I'm indispensable to this company. And also, I'm working really hard. I'm doing all this research. I'm showing them how good I am is exciting.
Yeah.
But saying, I hope I don't get fired. I hope I get that promotion. I wish it would work out. When you say wish and hope, you're already saying, well, I'm wishing and hoping because I'm powerless. But when you go, no, I'm doing it. I've got it. This has got my name all over it, which is what the cheerleader does for these children.
Right.
It says, you've got this. This is your unique gift. This has got your name on it. And you can do it.
It becomes achievable. Yes,
very much
absolutely.
so.
You're not talking to me, but while you were painting that picture, I couldn't help but smile. I already felt like the positivity was directed towards me, and it's not even me. You're not even talking to me. So imagine if you're saying that to yourself.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, last thing. I know we've kept you for so long,
It's gone so quickly.
Yeah. Can you tell us what's next for you?
My big thing has always been putting RTT into the school system, and it's so lovely here in Dubai because it's really being embraced. So putting RTT into schools, and then we're going to train teachers to really raise children's self-esteem, particular things they can do, because we're not teaching education. We're teaching emotional resilience. So that's probably my biggest thing. But here I am in Dubai doing all kinds of work. I've got 2 books coming out, actually, The Rules of the Mind, but also a book on mastery, mindset, all the M's, mindset, mastery, message, marketing, manifesting. That people think I can just sit in my chair and manifest, but actually you can't. To really manifest, manifesting is about mindset. Am I worth it? Do I deserve it? Manifesting is really about, I'm worth it, I deserve it, I can have that person or that job. So we're doing a very specific thing about having the mindset of a manifestor, having the mastery of a manifestor, having the marketing and the message of a manifestor. Then you can have anything you want. And we've got 350 RTT students here in Dubai now, running a really amazing, having a great life as a therapist. So that's a wonderful thing.
Wow.
A lot of them are Arabic speaking too.
I love that.
Yeah,
I
I do
absolutely
too.
love that
Yeah.
because I think there is a cultural difference and there are certain concepts that are still foreign in the region and to Arabs in general.
Yeah, I had some Arabic men in my last training, and they were talking about the culture and how they're not allowed to cry, and they would be physically hurt and had to take it like a man.
Yes.
And had to accept, their father's wishes that they couldn't get divorced even if they wanted to. So it was very interesting.
Right.
And that man has become the most amazing therapist because he's working with Arabic men who've had that same cultural upbringing that keep it all in.
Yes.
And just be a man.
Yes. And to be honest, women face just as much because
I know.
I had a friend who, bless her, battled with depression and actually became bipolar eventually because she was told, oh, nothing's wrong with you.
Yeah.
Just relax.
I'm glad you mentioned
get over
depression
it.
because in my experience, it's only mine, but I've been a therapist my entire adult life, we found depression is caused by 3 things: harsh, hurtful, critical words that you say to yourself on a regular basis. I'm an idiot, I'm a loser. I knew that wouldn't work out.
Yeah.
I knew I wouldn't get that. Disconnection, which is massive. We're tribal people, so being disconnected, and we have a whole generation of people who work from home on a screen
Yeah.
and not following your heart's desire.
Yeah.
Those 3 things cause it far more than the chemical imbalance in your brain, which, by the way, nobody can even find that. No doctor can say, let me put some electrodes on your head. Oh, look, there it is, that chemical imbalance. That was
Right.
created by a drug company. There's no doubt some people have that. But most people don't. They have the other thing. They're disconnected. They never followed their heart's desire. And they are really critical. And criticism withers you. And praise builds you up.
Yes.
That's the same with bullies, people who criticize wither you because they're withered, and people who praise build you up because they're built up.
Of course.
And so depression is much easier to fix than you would think, and we've got all these therapists here doing great things with depression. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and to be honest, I feel like they're all interconnected, the 3 points you just mentioned, because if I don't feel good enough, I will isolate myself.
And how can you follow your heart's desire if you feel inadequate? How can you go for that job?
Exactly, so they are interconnected.
Yeah,
no,
very
absolutely.
interconnected. And even if you can't, my grandmother always wanted to work in the theatre. She couldn't, but she became a dresser. She actually dressed Laurence Olivier.
Oh, amazing.
But she followed her heart's desire because she was in the theatre. She was backstage, so she did follow her. You might say, I can never be a lawyer, but I could never be an artist, but I could work in a gallery.
Right.
I missed having children, but I could sponsor a child, foster a child, mentor a child, be an advocate for it. There's always a way.
Right.
Maybe you could never be a doctor, but you could be a homeopath or a healer or an aromatherapist. There's always a way to follow your heart. Even if you think, I wanted to be a vet and I missed out, well be a dog behavioral expert.
Right.
Go and work in a shelter.
Work in a shelter, I was just going to say,
There's so many ways to follow your heart's desire.
Yeah.
It's not black or white. There's a huge bit in the middle, but it's very important to find a way to follow your heart's desire, because if you don't, depression will come after you because you're not finding it. We're all here to find our gift, whatever that is, and then perfect your gift. And we live in a world where we can go on social media and find a way to perfect our gift. There's so many tutorials, and then take your gift to market. That's why you're here. Find your gift. Learn the art of perfecting your gift. So take it on. So I found therapy, but then I mastered therapy. I could perfect this. I could make it better. Someone's going to have to do that, and there's very few women doing that. Mm-hmm. So I found therapy. That was my gift. But I perfected the art of it by learning everything about it. Then I created my own course and started to sell it but that's what I was always meant to do. Everyone's meant to do something. When you can find that, you can't be depressed because you're doing what makes your heart sing. Mm-hmm. You're following your heart's desire. You're very connected. And you're certainly going to be hard on yourself because you're doing something that matters. You're creating growth, contribution, making a difference. You're connected and significant, and that's really important.